Alright guys, so here's what I've done so far. I've made this bracket right here, zoom in on it, just out of wood, and off the X7 I got, as you can see, this little bracket. It's like metal that you can bend very easily. It was holding a reflector on the back of the bike, so I just have that to hold it, and just for extra security measures I'm gonna probably zip tie it on the side beside it so that it's secure. Then for the second bracket, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have one coming off of the bike from where that screw's sticking out towards the screw, and to make sure that it could stay there, let's see if I can get it in here. I'm going to screw it into those two holes right there. And then they'll have bolts on the back, not in bolts, just to make sure that everything's good. So I'm just gonna continue videotaping, and I'll show you what I'm doing along the way. So I'm gonna put the body up against the bike to measure where the holes need to be, so that I can make sure I'm getting it right. I'll show you also how it's gonna look like with the body on. So that's how it's gonna look like from this side. You're gonna have, I currently don't have a stand on the bike, which I'm gonna take off the X7 too. So I'm gonna keep the wheel covers black because the ones on the X7 are smaller, and I don't want really small wheel covers, and black looks good. It goes with the windshield. So we'll have the lights here, and then the body on the side. I'm gonna have to buy the other side of the body because this X7 didn't have the other side, but I do have the one that goes back here, and I do need to reconnect that brake. I'll also be changing the back brake lights, so I'll show you how to do that too. Maybe not in this video, but for now we're going to be focusing more onto this body, just so we could get it looking nice. And I'm going to have to rewire this bike because I think there's been a lot of wiring mistakes made by the previous owner, or whoever they got it fixed by. Alright, so see, I think I'm gonna use the one without a bolt in it when it comes to this little black piece here, because it's closer to the holes and I'll have to bend the stick less. So what I'm thinking is putting one of the pieces of wood going upwards but not showing out of the black thing, and then having another piece coming like this from the bolts and have it screwed on like this, and maybe reinforce it with a few more pieces of wood and some zip ties. Zip ties are my friend. So I'll start putting it through. I'm gonna call it a dry run, and then we'll get back to it. Alright, so I found the nut and bolt I'm gonna use. I got it from my spare parts. This is how it is. It's a lock nut. So the best thing about it is it won't open over time. The way you tell by the lock nut is that's how it looks from the inside with the little edge. It's perfect size to go through the smaller hole. I'm gonna find I have bigger ones for the bigger holes. Let me show you the bigger one. The bigger one is pretty long, so if I need to I could cut it down, but this is the bigger one. Same thing, lock nut, except it's just fatter. That because on the bike one of the holes is wider than the other. Let me zoom in right there. So you see that one hole is wider than the other. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the fat one. Hold up, let me just take the nut off. Have the fat one in the big one, and have the nut behind it, because the nut's big enough. It's not that the screw's big enough, but the nut's big enough to stop the screw from just falling through, and the nut's not going to go through the hole. With the small one, same thing. They're perfect sizes. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so we got my 2 holes. I already put one of the bolts in there, and then this hole's for the bigger bolt. And as you can see, I could just screw it right in, and it starts going through. Let's see if it focus. There you go. See it on the other side, and then I can put the bolt on, and it'll be secured to the frame. Alright, so I had to take my gas tank off to screw it in. If you don't know how to take your gas tank off, there's 2 screws right there through those holes with nuts on the back that you'll need to get rid of, and also one over there. And I believe that one would be just a screw. I don't know, because mine were not plugged in, and I am using the X7 gas tank too, just so everything matches. I'm getting a problem with screwing something into the second hole because the fork comes in the way of the bike. Let me see if I can show you. Right there, that fork right there that you're looking at comes in the way. It's right in front of the hole. So my screw's pretty big, so I'm gonna have to find my saw and cut it so I could put it behind it and screw it in. But for now, I'm just gonna run with 1 screw, and we're gonna make the rest so that we have everything up and going. Alright, so I was having some trouble with the angling of this stick and the angle that the actual screw's on. So I just left that there for now, and I also made this bracket because there's a hole that's going to go directly right here, and the actual mounting is right here. So, I mean, that's pretty strong. This is going to be one of the better pieces, something that's going to hold it up properly and make sure that it doesn't fall. It was one of the easier ones too. After we get this done, I think I'm going to switch to the other side or the front, because I really don't have the other side fairing, but I don't want only one side holding the whole fairing together. So I'm going to have to work something out for the front, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so the brackets worked. That's one of the screws that I'm zooming into right now for, come on, focus. Holy shit. Okay. Well, you know where it is when I zoom out. So this is one of the screws for the bracket that I had, the wooden bracket, going from the front pillar, the bracket that sticks out like this, to this hole right here. I did have to, first push the fairing in so that the screw caught onto the piece of wood and brought the wood back out, which was fine. It was just a little bit of force that was needed. And then that's the other screw with that bracket. I'm gonna paint that bracket black, so it's not really standing out. It looks like some random piece of wood just there, and it'll go in with the gas tank that I also put back on. Of course, the gas tank was easier for me. All I did was put it on and put the cap back on, and it's stuck there. So now, that's how it looks from this side. From the driver's side now, if you're sitting on the bike, so like this, as you can see, it's not completely straight yet. It's because I need to lift this a little bit so that it is completely straight. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but because the bracket on the other side is sticking out, and this is behind it right now, so I can't connect it to that one because this is not wide enough so that I could stretch it. I'll just snap it in half, and I don't want to do that. I mean, all this hard work would be gone. So I'm gonna have to figure something out. I'll let you know. Alright, this is the other side of my bike. I still have a small piece of X18 fairing that I had just so that I could cover up the bracket. Now, I want to remind you that if you have all of the X7 fairings, you would just mount them in the exact same places that you did on the other side, and you'd be good. So you take that, put it from that screw to the same spot you did on the other side, and from that bracket, the same thing you did. Since I don't have the side, the only thing I did have was this black thing right here from the other side. So that what I did was, as you can see here, I bolted it onto the last bolt in the fairing, That's just there because I couldn't take it off. The screw's messed up. And there's a small little bracket right there where I screwed it onto. It's a really small bracket. The end is basically right here. All it is a small bracket. I don't know what it's for. It wasn't being used. So I used it. And now we have this secured. Now let me show you. See? It's nice and straight. Everything is good. And it looks really nice. So that's it for the fairing install. The back fairing, for some odd reason, won't come off of the X7. I got all the screws off, but I will record it when I do it next time. But for now, that's it. Thank you for watching.